So I'm back, just for a little bit. Rough conversions are almost done, but it's not quite there yet. But the build is away today, so I'm able to do some voiceover for my videos. Anyway, today we are looking at the Tanix TX6. Now this features the Allwinner H6 processor. Now this also features the latest version of Android, which is Android 9.0, and that's called Pie. But this is not the first time we've looked at a box featuring the H6. We've looked at the Link H6 as well as at the Beelink GS1, I think it was called, and another one as well. I think it was a Zidu H6 or something like that. And quite frankly, they weren't that great, to be honest with you. Very underdeveloped firmware, you know, the usual rubbish. But we've got this Tanix TX6 now. Let's take a look here and let's see if this Android Pie is any better than the previous releases of Android on these TV boxes. So the box is nicely packaged. It comes with a power supply, HDMI, and a rubbish remote, you know, the usual stuff. The box itself feels quite well built. We've got a USB 3.0 port on the side here, USB 2.0, as well as Ethernet, HDMI, etc. But yeah, overall the box feels well built, and you know, it seems to be well worth it for the money so far at least. So let's turn the box on, and straight away the firmware is Alice UI, and we've seen this on loads of different devices by Tanix. They've made a lot of effort to produce this launcher, and it seems to work quite well in previous releases like the TX3, Mini, etc. They've been pretty decent devices, and Tanix have been, you know, quite involved in the Amlogic community and bringing out lots of different cool little variations of their firmware. But yeah, we've got this Tanix Alice UI on this TX3, TX6 even, and so far so good. Let's have a look around and let's see if it works properly. So straight away, unfortunately, there's a bit of stuttering with the interface. Things aren't moving like I would have wanted them to. It's not very a smooth experience. It's very stuttery, and yeah, not something I would have expected. Normally Alice UI is pretty smooth and pretty slick, to be honest with you. So let's move straight into a couple of different things such as gameplay, video playback. Can it be a 6K player? Who knows? But anyway, so this is YouTube, and I'm going to test some 4K video, and here we go. So straight away, it's struggling with 4K playback, to be honest with you, with YouTube at least. Whether that's an issue with the software, some issue, compatibility issue somewhere going on, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, we're dropping frames, things aren't working properly, it's stuttering. Below 4K, absolutely fine, no problems with that, but 4K definitely is struggling with YouTube. Now moving straight on to some gameplay. Now it can run the games that I normally test, such as Asphalt, as well as that. We've got GTA as well, and they all seem to run fine. I've just got a weird controller issue. I'm using an Xbox One controller, and I've seen this plenty of times before on Amlogic boxes, normally on S912 to be honest with you, but on this one, yeah, we've got some sort of driver issue going on. Whether it's just an issue with this particular controller, I have no idea. I've got no other controllers to test, so you might not have an issue with maybe a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360 controller. I have no idea. But yeah, there's an issue going on. Controls just aren't working. I mean, I'm flying around randomly, the camera's moving around randomly with this controller, and I can stop it by pressing one of the buttons. But yeah, so far, you know, gameplay works. It just doesn't seem to have a proper compatibility going on with the actual controller. So moving straight into what I normally test, and these are jellyfish files, a few different types of them, basically to see if we can play 4K and, you know, 1080p files and different file types, etc. And this seems to be, you know, a good enough processor, and it's handling them all. A lot of different TV boxes, Amlogic can't handle certain types of these, but this seems to be handling it no problem. And as you can see, nice and smooth frame rates on all these different files, so 4K is not a problem. So maybe that YouTube issue was something with the actual app rather than the actual, or maybe possibly there's some sort of network issue. That could be a possibility. Although it has that great big antenna, it might just be struggling to actually, you know, produce a decent connection with my router. Not entirely sure, but it's something to think about when looking at a box like this. Now, how fast does this system perform? Well, like I showed you at the start, the Alice UI it's a bit sluggish. Things are moving at a bit of a snail pace, to be honest with you. And I tried some transferring some files from my SD card onto the actual device itself. And as you can see, man, it's so unbelievably slow. Everything is just taking so slow to transfer. So there's a definite issue there. I highly doubt it's the hardware, mainly because I've tested the actual speed of the internal storage and all the different things, how fast the RAM goes and so on. We've used this simple app and things seem to be pretty quick. I've got 140 megabytes transfer speed with the internal storage, and the RAM speed etc is pretty good as well. But there's some sort of weird issue going on from a USB stick or a SD card. It's just painfully slow transferring from that to the internal storage on the box. So this box is running the very latest of Android 9.0 Pie, but pay attention to that 9.0. It's not 9.1, not 9.2, it's 9.0, which means it's the very first release of it, which can be good and it can be very bad, especially when it comes to TV boxes, mainly because manufacturers are basically slapping this new firmware onto boxes to make you guys think that it's going to be the latest and greatest, and it just doesn't work like that. As far as I'm aware, this 9.0 firmware is so underdeveloped, it just isn't worth it, unless of course you like tinkering around with things like seeing the the initial stages of a product. Although this box as well, it will come with system updates, no doubt. Over the next couple of months you'll get certain updates from Tanix. I just don't think it's worth it yet. I really wish manufacturers would just stop, spend a couple of months developing the firmware, then release it, rather than just slapping it straight on there and hoping for the best. So overall, the box it's alright. It's nothing special, to be honest with you. It doesn't bring you any more features that Oreo, Nougat, or even Marshmallow would bring you. So in that respect, it's not that great, to be honest with you. So it's really up to you. I personally would go for a box like an S912 box at the moment, or even an S905X device. Those are two great devices at the moment. Or even there's a new Beelink box coming out, and that's featuring the S912, but apparently it's fully certified by the likes of Netflix and so on. So that could be an interesting device to look out for. But anyway, the Tanix TX6, it's alright, but it's not something I would recommend, especially if you're just wanting something with the latest and greatest. It's really nothing special, to be honest with you.